Alright, this is going to be my attempt to review the Flash movie in its entirety now that we've finally gotten here. It has been a very long process for this movie, and, this movie's had more directors and writers than my mom has had boyfriends growing up, so it's one of those things where, we finally got to the product and we are at the end. So, did it live up to it? Did it live up to some of the hype that you hear now talking about it? So, I'm going to talk about the movie today and review and see where it falls in with Nick and go from there. So, without further ado, this is the review of The Flash.
Please wait while I connect your call.
So, it is that time where we get into talking about the movie now. So, I'm going to put this on the background for y'all so you can have something good to watch. So, first things first, we're going to talk about the CGI. CGI has been notoriously bad from what I've read online. I've seen some people say it's not that bad, and some people are really just able to look over it and don't think it deserves as much hate as it does. Some people think it is absolutely garbage. I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has watched the movie, that CGI is absolutely horrendous. It is laughably bad. And it is so impressively bad that it's shocking that such a big movie was shipped in such a state with such bad CGI. You will be laughing at scenes that are not funny because of the CG. There's been some coping and some BS excuses online, even from, I believe it was the director, saying that it was an artistic expression because of when when Barry does his running and stuff, that everything looks distorted. So that's what we're seeing. That is not the case. You will see bad CG between two characters talking, no speed, no nothing. You will see bad CG in combat. You will just see bad CG. It is consistently bad. There's not really. There's a time or two where you don't notice it, but for the most part, you will notice the CG. So let's just get that out of the way. The CG is bad. So, that's not the only thing that's going to hurt this movie, nor is it the biggest thing when it comes to these movies, but it is still a equally big part of these movies. So, I'm not going to let it slide, per se, but it does weigh into it. But that will be the end of the discussion about CG. It's just bad. You can't really make an excuse for that. So, CG aside, where does the rest of the movie stack? Well, the rest of the movie, I would say, falls into a alright time. It is not bad by any means, but it is not amazing. I do think the movie itself is just kind of mid. I honestly, I'll be honest with you. I am tossed up on how I feel about it. I will say it is a mid movie. The action sequences itself, alright, would have probably been elevated had there been good CG, but there's not really any good CG, so that's kind of the issue with it. The movie has some elements that are pretty good. Bruce Wayne, either Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck, or Michael Keaton's Batman are both pretty fun. Anytime Michael Keaton was on the screen, I was just kind of happy and laughing at some of his lines, even if he says some pretty stupid lines like "let's get nuts" and stuff like that. It was a fun time for Batman, and with what they were going for, I think it's about as best they could do with Batman per se. Oh shit! I gotta put on another video. There we go. So Batman himself, pretty solid. I liked it. Nothing worth writing home to mother about. Supergirl. Wow. Supergirl, I'm just going to say that was a lackluster character in this movie. And I definitely feel bad for any Supergirl fans. Just because that was rough. I'll go more in depth about a lot of this. But for now, I'm just going to give some general thoughts. So the action was alright. The score was pretty good. The score itself was pretty good. I will give it to them. The interactions between some characters, mainly between both Barrys, is better than thought, but it's still a little bit rough. So both Barrys are decent. You know, it's all right for both Barrys. Batman is pretty good. Supergirl, not so much. The rest of the cast outside of those characters that I listed and the mom and dad for Barry, everything outside of that, not great. Just putting it out there. The actors themselves didn't really do a good job with it. The way that those characters were put in this movie was just not done very well. Iris West herself, I'm just not impressed. So overall, a mid-movie experience. That's my kind of like general like review of the movie itself. It is a mid-movie. The characters in this movie, for the most part, are all right. The action in the movie itself was also all right. Could have been elevated a bit with better CG. The score was pretty good. I will give it to them. The way that they did the storyline of the Flash was about as good as they could get because they didn't commit to a lot of stuff, and they changed how some of the characteristics and the canon of the Flash works. So for what they did, it was solid. It was a solid attempt. I do disagree with the changes and stuff, but again, that will be for the spoiler part of this view. So we have less than average. Less than average CG. We have a mid storytelling experience wrapped with some caveats like some interesting ideas conceptually and some like a pretty solid score. So as of right now, that's going to be my overall non-spoiler review for the movie. It was a mid-movie. I would plug it in at 6 nicks out of 10. As a standalone movie, I do want to clarify, as a standalone, like, overall cinema experience, I could give this a 6. You might be able to argue me down to a 5, but I could say a 6 comfortably. Now, we are in the spoiler section of the review, so you've been warned. Batman, they did about as good as they could with keeping Bruce Wayne around. There are some things comically, like there is no Thomas Wayne, there is a Bruce Wayne still. Kara is the Superman of this movie because Superman was low-diffed by Zod as a baby. So, with that said, the canon of what you're used to with a typical Flashpoint movie is changed a bit. So those changes I don't particularly mind. Like, I can understand not doing Thomas. I could understand why they did Superman the way they did. I could understand some of the other changes, like, you know, none of the other supporting characters, no Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, any of them. Just like these few heroes exist in this alternate reality. So, like, you do have to remember this is a Flashpoint movie, but with a different reality, with their own little bit of canon. So, if you go into that, then you'll have a bit of a better experience than overall what I was expecting with a typical Flashpoint movie. But the bones of this movie and the framework of this movie is Flashpoint, but they don't commit to some things regarding the Flash character. There is no Eobard Thawne in this movie. The way that they change up how Barry's mother dies, like they made it to where like Barry's mother is still stabbed and the father still takes the blame, but they make it ambiguous to like who did the stabbing. They make it seem like it's actually plausible that a criminal broke into the house, realized Barry's mother was there, stabbed her, and left. The dad gets there and takes the blame for it. There's no mention of Barry or Reverse Flash being there and having like this fight about his mother and being there, and like Reverse Flash being the reason that Barry's mother dies. There's no mention of Eobard at all, no negative force, like none of it. There is absolutely no Reverse Flash, and I do think that is something that is particularly powerful to the Flash character. I'm not saying that Flash can't exist without a Reverse Flash, but I do think it is very beneficial for the Flash character to get his proper dues of the Reverse Flash, and the Reverse Flash being prominent in his story. So they don't have any Reverse Flash at all. They do have two Barrys, And this second Barry is not bad. He's goofy. He's stupid. He's even stupider than the original Barry. So they bounce off of each other, and it's an all right time. Like, it makes the Barry that you're used to seem more grounded by the end of it. They do a good job with coming into Barry Allen and loss, and how Barry is a tragic character. So they do a pretty decent job when it comes to Barry being a desperate character and a tragic character and having to accept fate in some instances. So they do a good job at that, which is one of the biggest things about The Flash. But they do it in such a way where, like the stuff that they wrote that surrounds it just feels a bit underwhelming. Like, we have this second Barry. He learns, he gets powers. He learns how to be a speedster, and then, like, he is the one that becomes obsessed with, like, trying to keep the peace, and, like, you know, if something goes wrong, he undoes it, and he keeps undoing it until a point where he goes crazy. And the third Flash in this movie, the negative Flash that we do have, is the incarnation of him as he's done this for infinite time. So he basically goes mad and becomes obsessed with having to make things perfect, and he doesn't accept loss. So this Barry, our Barry, has to accept loss by realizing that the other one couldn't. It is very well done in that aspect, but I do just think it was underwhelming that they did it. If that makes sense. Like, they did a good job with what they were going for. I just disagree that they did it in the first place. There's no, like, overlap of, like, Barry and, like, having to directly make these decisions. The way they change, like Barry doesn't, like, go there to stop his mother from dying. He doesn't stop his mother directly. He just puts her on the right path to not be killed, because his dad went to go to the store to get some shit for the mom, and then the mom gets stabbed while he's at the store. So he's like, oh, well, if I just, change this to where dad never has to go, then it's it's perfectly good. And, like, that's how he saves his mom. He does not save his mom by stopping the stabber, who should be Reverse Flash. It would be, I made sure my mom had a second can of tomatoes, and now my mom's alive, and because my dad didn't have to go to the store. It's very stupid. I don't like that change. So I disagree with that. So when it comes to the climax, and Barry accepts, some things are destined, and these things have to happen, and the second Barry's like, I don't accept this, and he keeps doing things and trying things infinite amount of times and losing every time, and, like, you can see, like, the psychosis that comes with that. Like, he's just like first Barry's like, I will go back and fix this, and the other guy's like, well, I'm not gonna just let you I'll let our dad go to the store, and, like, it doesn't have the same bravado because of some of the elements they do not commit to in the Flash canon. Another instance of stuff that they don't commit to in the Flash canon is Flash cannot save people directly. He cannot touch people with his speed and move them more than 6 inches without them vomiting out of both ends. It's going to greatly disturb the person if he moves them at all. They don't commit to this idea of the Speed Force really being present is my problem. The Speed Force is this, this unseen presence that is there that helps the Flash be the Flash. And he's like, he mentions tapping into the Speed Force to go home and stuff, but, like, he doesn't mention, like, the Speed Force, or the Speed Force itself doesn't help. Like, that's the canon of the Flash. When the Flash touches somebody and he's able to move them at Mach speed, how is that person still alive? The Speed Force is helping him. The Speed Force is this invisible third party that helps him. The Speed Force does not operate in this way in the movie, so Flash cannot grab somebody and move them out of danger. He has to move the danger around them, which is interesting on paper because it creates a little bit more of, like, interesting action sequences and situations. But at the core of the character, Flash not being able to grab anybody is kind of dumb when you think about it. He has to move things around them and lightly nudge them, or he has to wait while they're falling out of the sky. He has to wait for them to come to him slowly, so that he cannot just grab them and move them out of the way. it's not very well done. Like even worse than it was in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So they changed some things about the canon of the character and how the character works that I just don't agree with. Supergirl is a massive L in this movie. Like, I'm talking the biggest L in this movie. She does nothing but lose in this movie after she gets introduced. And she is used as a unit of measure of loss. Like, that's simply put, like, she is just a unit of measure of loss. Like, she just gets her ass whooped repeatedly by Zod, gets killed infinite amount of times, which Barry 2 is obsessed with saving her. And that's part of what drives him mad and makes him turn into this negative third force. She doesn't win at all. She doesn't get any like story presence. Like they delve a little bit into like, you know, oh, she's here, Clark didn't make it here, Clark died to Zod. She gets upset and they immediately start fighting and then she loses within like 1 minute. Like, it's just not good. Supergirl as a character was a massive L. The Flash canon that they changed was a L. The concepts are good, but in practice it just doesn't work for the Flash. So those are a lot of my grievances with the issues that I have with the movie. I don't think there's much else. So with that said, I appreciate you watching the video. And yeah, I'll be trying to do more of these in the
Please
future.
wait while I connect your call.